Hey guys, I'm back to the channel. Welcome to another live stream. And the main topic of today's video, we're going to change things up a bit. We're talking Manchester United and them embarrassing Arsenal at the weekend. And it's mainly about the aftermath of that result. For those of you who've been living under a rock these past 48 hours or so, won't know. But just to recap, Man United and Arsenal played out a 5-goal thriller on Sunday. And it was an incredible game. It was a game that a lot of people believed Arsenal were going to win. A lot of Arsenal fans are going into that game pretty confident at home. You know, their home record stands for itself. Not just this season, but in previous seasons gone by, they very rarely get beat at home. They haven't been beaten at home all season. Arsenal fans were going into this game pretty confident that they could throw water on this Man United fire that had been brewing this past week with the appointment of Michael Carrick, with obviously the Manchester derby going in United's favour. Arsenal were feeling confident that they could not only win the game, but maintain their 7-point gap at the top of the table. Obviously, fast forward a little bit throughout that game, it didn't quite pan out that way. Man United embarrassed Arsenal. Arsenal embarrassed themselves. And it's led to an incredible fallout, an incredible aftermath of pure anger and frustration from Arsenal fans that I think at the root cause is fear. I think it's fear, and we're going to dive into that a little bit later in this stream. But first and foremost, of course, how are we all doing? I hope we're all doing very well on this Tuesday afternoon. I hope we're all good. I hope we're all feeling well. As always, with these streams and with these videos, hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and very greatly appreciated. And of course, get involved in the chat as well. Would love to hear from you all, whether it's whether you're new here, whether you're old here. Like, let me know who's watching. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what you're up to today or anything along those lines. And of course, talk some football with me, because as much as we are going to be talking about the Man United versus Arsenal game on Sunday, we'll obviously be talking all things football as well. So if you want to get involved with some comments about any footballing topics that you have ready and waiting to go, hit up the chat and we will discuss them, I'm sure. All good, as Ross here is the first one in the building. Hope you're doing well, my friend. He says, how's things, bud? Ross here. How's you keeping? I'm good, man. I'm very, very good. I wish my team were doing better. I'm a Liverpool fan, by the way, if you're new here. Wish my team were doing better. But yeah, apart from that, I'm all good, man. I hope you're doing well as well. Hope you're keeping well on this Tuesday afternoon. Big up to you, my friend, for being here. So yeah, we're going to be diving into it. First and foremost, we're going to be talking Arsenal and Manchester United. Like I said, I was a bit shocked. Sunday, I wasn't expecting United to win. I was expecting it to be a close game. I wasn't expecting like Arsenal to run away with it or to absolutely destroy or dismantle Manchester United. But I wasn't expecting United to get a win in the way that they did. It was absolutely incredible. And, you know, it's not just the fallout from this. It's not just the result in this. It's the fallout from it. It's Arsenal fans' reaction to that result. And I get it. There's a fierce rivalry there. There is obviously a lot at stake. There's bragging rights. There's that at stake when obviously two fierce teams meet like this. But the fallout from Arsenal fans has been glorious to watch. Now, as a Liverpool fan, I kind of hate it. because obviously, I don't like Arsenal. Don't want Arsenal to win the league, for first and foremost. I think they're going to, and I don't think this result changes things too much in that aspect. So I do think Arsenal will go on and win the league, as much as I want them to bottle it, of course. I want them to bottle it, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case, right? So I'm kind of glad in a way. I'm also kind of glad in a way of a football fan that actually sees the Premier League as potentially being a bit more competitive now that Arsenal have dropped points, rather than, you know, Arsenal seemingly running away with it. So I'm kind of glad in that aspect. But of course, Man United fans are my rivals. Don't want to see them win. It also doesn't help Liverpool in the race for the top 4/top 5 Champions League places for this season. So either way, it's kind of hit and miss. It's kind of good and bad. Ross here says, fuck Liverpool, come on United. Yeah, I'm sure you're very happy after this weekend. Like, big win for you lot. Big up yourself, bro. I don't want to butcher your name, so I do apologize. I don't know why my camera's just gone. That's weird. That is very, very weird. I don't know why the camera's just disappeared. Let me just see if I can bring it back. There we go. Brought it back. Don't know why that went then. I'm not 100% sure why that went. But yeah, I'm sure you're very happy with this weekend. What is going on? What is going on with this camera? What is it going on? StreamYard wouldn't pick up my audio earlier either. This is so weird. I am so confused. We're back. How long for? I don't know, but we're back. Where was I? Yes, apparently we've got a Galatasaray fan in the building. Big up yourself, bro. Glad to have you here. You say Galatasaray 3, Man United 2. Got a lot to say on Galatasaray. Big up yourself, bro. Hope you're doing well. Anyway, like I was saying, I don't think it changes too much in the aspect of the title race. Look, I still think Arsenal will go on and win it. I've said it for several weeks, several months now, since Liverpool dropped off a cliff. Arsenal continued their somewhat consistency. I didn't think they would be consistent as much as they were in previous years for this season, but it turns out that they are going to be challenging once again for the Premier League title. I don't think it changes too much. I genuinely don't think it changes too much. You cry. No, bro. I'm cool. I don't know what you're on about. Awesome, man. Okay. Someone's having a breakdown. Anyway, like I say, I don't think it changes too much, and I think this is just a bad day at the office for Arsenal. I know that obviously things kind of look bad when you drop points, and they've dropped points in their past few games. I know that obviously they drew to Nottingham Forest, but I still see Arsenal being the best of an inconsistent bunch, and I don't trust Aston Villa. As much as I would love an underdog story, if my club aren't going to win it, as much as I would love an underdog story to happen this season in terms of Aston Villa winning the league, if Liverpool aren't going to win it, managing to topple Manchester City, and of course, more beautifully, toppling Arsenal, Unai Emery getting one over on his former club, that would be absolutely outstanding if that obviously was to happen. It would make for a beautiful narrative and a beautiful story, of course. But of course, sometimes that just doesn't happen. And I don't expect that to happen either with Villa. For City, again, you wouldn't put it past them to go on a run from here on out of winning games and obviously managing to catch Arsenal and obviously leapfrog Arsenal into that top spot. But at the same time, in saying that, they haven't given me any sort of real impetus this season. They haven't given me any kind of confidence that they will be able to do that. They have struggled. They have faltered. They have stuttered at times, and big times at that. That run of games that they went on, in which they drew to the likes of Sunderland, drew to Brighton, and another team in there that I can't remember who it was. And then obviously losing to Manchester United as well really hasn't helped their cause, in my opinion. They're still 4 points behind, and let's face it, 4 points behind, you still would not rule out City by any stretch of the imagination that they are obviously going to win the league. But I just see Arsenal being more of the consistent team. You know, I just see Arsenal being the more consistent team, the bigger team to go on and make something happen. I don't know. That's the way that I see it. I don't see too much changing in terms of the title race. I still think Arsenal will be able to get themselves across the line this time around. But in saying that, judging by the reaction of some of them Arsenal fans at the end of the game, if obviously an alien had come to Earth and had been learning about football and learning about this Premier League season this year, and he saw the reactions of those Arsenal fans, didn't know anything about where they were in the title race or anything like that, you wouldn't have thought that they would be top with 4 points clear. The way that they were reacting, it was almost like they had completely bottled it already. Hopefully, that comes later on down the line. But for right now, 4 points clear at the top of the table with 15 games to go. It's not a bad position to be in whatsoever. I would take it. But then again, my club are really in the mud right now. Big up Sir Rodney. Big up Sir Rodney. United are a bunch of minge bags. Interesting insult there. I hope you're doing well anyway, my bro. I hope you're good. Big up Marco's in the building. Lovely to have you here, bro. Look, I hope you're doing well as well. How was Mbeumo's goal not chalked off? He did a volleyball maneuver with hand and then scored the goal. I don't think. Look, the two handballs that we saw, I don't know where he's meant to put his hands. The Maguire one especially. He's going to ground. You obviously have to put your hand out when you're going to ground in the way that he did to kind of balance yourself or to protect yourself from falling or causing too much damage or whatever. I think it was probably right to not call them off. I will say that. I think it's one of them ones where it would be harsh to chalk them off. It would be harsh to punish Man United, but I think the referee made the right call, allowing the goal to stand, not giving a penalty. Arsenal fans were angry about it, of course they were. But then again, as I said the other day, they're the same Arsenal fans that didn't want to see Odegaard's handball against Liverpool or anything else like that. So, and let's face it, Arsenal have gotten away with a couple of things this season. And surprisingly, now they're top of the league, referees and the PGMOL and all of this stuff, those excuses have somewhat gone away until Sunday. Until Sunday, they're back. So read into that what you will. Are Villa in the title race? I would like to. I want them to be, but I doubt it. I think that they will eventually fall away from the top two. But it still could be a very good season for Villa in terms of, I think they will probably go on and secure top 4, top 5, because I think, again, they're the most consistent of a bad bunch of inconsistent teams. And then they probably could focus on the Europa League from there. So I think Villa could be in for a very, very good season under Unai Emery. Yeah, the mentality is bad from the Arsenal fans. It's bad from the Arsenal fans. It's also bad from the players and the manager. Like, the questions of Arsenal's mentality have obviously come back. And again, I think there is an element of truth to it. But I think that just because, again, they're the best of a bad bunch, they probably will get across the finish line this time around. And like I say, I don't necessarily see City toppling them because I still think City have problems of their own. Maybe the additions of Mark Gahey and Semenyo may tighten things up there and may improve things both going forward and defensively. So maybe that could change. We'll have to wait and see. But judging based off of recent form, City don't fill me with enough confidence that they're going to capitalize. That's the problem that I have. And just on the mentality of Arsenal fans, some of them do seem to chuck their toys out the pram whenever Arteta and Arsenal falter. And this Sunday was no different. I mean, I saw Arsenal civil war a little bit in terms of within the Arsenal fan base. I saw Arsenal fans going at each other, sort of attacking each other, and whether it be personally or for their footballing opinions, it was crazy. Yeah, it was bizarre. And look, teams have bad days at the office. We get that. Liverpool had a couple of bad days at the office last season, and we went on to win the title. We also got a lot of stick from Arsenal fans who were saying, "Oh, you've only won the league on this many points, and you lost this many games." Arsenal have now lost more games than Liverpool in last season when it mattered. So before Liverpool were officially crowned champions against Tottenham with 4 games to go, Liverpool had only lost twice that season. Arsenal have now lost 3 times this season. 1 to Liverpool, 1 to Villa, 1 to Man United. Again, read into that what you will. But again, it's what happens when it's what goes around comes around. And I said that 1,000,001 times to Arsenal fans last season. Don't go saying things if you're not going to be prepared to take them potentially in the following year. And that's exactly what happened. The following year, everything that was being said about Liverpool is now being said about Arsenal. But Arsenal fans can't take it. And to me, that is both beautiful and poetic. I love it. They are flapping and getting all the excuses at the ready. They've seen more content with being proven right about their hate for Arteta rather than wanting to win the league. Certain Arsenal fans are like that. Certain Arsenal fans seem to be like that. Certain Arsenal fans seem to be under the impression that they need to be right rather than be proven wrong. I, as a Liverpool fan, let's compare it to Liverpool right now, right? I want Slot out as much as the next guy in the Liverpool fan base does, right? But it doesn't mean that I want us to lose. It doesn't mean that if we go into a Champions League final this season, like, I don't think we will, but let's be real. If there is a slim possibility that we get into a Champions League final this season, I'm not going to sit there and go, "Oh, if he wins this, he might stay on. So therefore, I hope we don't." I want us to win that final. I want 7 Champions Leagues in our trophy cabinet. I want 7 Champions League winners' medals for us. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, I want Slot out, so I don't want us to win this Champions League final. To hell with that. But certain Arsenal fans, if you put them in the same situation, if you put certain Arsenal fans in the same situation of, you have like 1 or 2 more years of Arteta if you win the Champions League, but you can get him sacked that very night if you lose it, they probably would go with losing it. That's just how crazy they are, because they've been on this kind of agenda for so long. And look, I called out Arteta when I feel like it's needed. I've defended Arteta where I think it's needed. And I'm a Liverpool fan from the outside looking in. I do think there is some problems with Arteta. I do hope that he bottles it again this year. But I'm not going to sit here and lie and say he's a terrible, terrible manager. He's a good coach. He is a good coach. He's a bit out there and a bit weird, but he's a good coach because he's managed to get some of these players playing to levels that I didn't think they would be able to get to. I didn't think Gabriel several years ago was going to be the defender that he is today, for example. But he is. He's one of the best. He's probably the best in the Premier League right now. You know, I didn't think he'd get the likes of Juri and Timber to be playing like he is doing at right back. Didn't think he would do the same with a large number of these players. Didn't even think David Raya was that great of a purchase when they bought him. But yet Arteta's proven me wrong on certain things. So he's definitely a good coach. Certain Arsenal fans hold him in too high a regard, and certain Arsenal fans hold him way, way, way too low in regard. It's a very strange fan base. It can't be good for the dressing room, or the noise seems the fan base is split. It'll be telling in a few weeks' time. You know, if Arsenal lose this 4-point gap in a few weeks' time, that will be really, really telling. If that is the whole noise and the mentality aspect. We've questioned Arsenal's mentality before, and it's always stemmed from the manager and the players. And this season, again, I think in big games, Arsenal's mentality has shined, and not for the better. It's been for the worse. For example, not going for it against Liverpool. A Liverpool side that were there for the taking, a Liverpool side that were poor, a Liverpool side that were easily rattled at that moment. They did not go for it. They did not go for it at home. They did not go for it away from home. They were poor on both accounts. Against Aston Villa, they were poor. Against Man United, they were poor in both games, and United were a little unfortunate not to get something from the first game of the season. Second game of the season, though, they deserved it. They properly deserved it, Man United. And obviously they got their win on Sunday. But they were poor then. I can't remember too many times this season that Arsenal have been great. I really, really can't. And I'm not saying that to be banterous. I'm not saying it to be hyperbolic or whatever the kind of phrasing and word is. But I can't remember too many games this season where I've looked at Arsenal and I've been like blown away by how scintillating they are, how amazing they are, how incredible they are to play with. And that's just a style preference from me. That's a style preference from me. I'm not all for this set piece FC, ole ole. I'm not all for this kind of, you know, Gyökeres is a striker that basically creates space for others because he takes out about 5 different players in marking him. Like, I'm not all for that kind of stuff. Like, that's just a style preference. There are more than one way to win a football game. I'm very much happy with that, and I've said that time and time again. I would not be happy, though, if I'm sat here looking at this Arsenal team, if I was an Arsenal fan, going, this Arteta guy has had 6 years. He has spent £1 billion on this squad, and yet we are still playing somewhat cowardly. The game was there for the taking for Man United against Man United. They went a goal up. And usually we see Arsenal then sit back and try and see out a 1-goal lead. And if they can get something on the counter-attack, fine, fair enough. But they didn't. And the game was there for the taking. Just like the game was there for the taking when Arsenal played Liverpool. The game was there for the taking when Arsenal played even Manchester City. And I know that City went a goal up, but the game was still there for the taking. But it was just a case of Arsenal slipped up. Arsenal didn't show any kind of adventure or any sort of or decide to lay down a statement. Because Arsenal and Arteta's mentality is to be reserved and controlling. But on Sunday especially, he didn't want to be adventurous. He didn't want to go for the kill. He wanted to be controlling, in an environment in which the Arsenal players were making mistakes left, right, and centre. I don't necessarily think they absolutely peppered Man United in terms of anything. There were a few nervy moments, of course, from United for United, but again, it was just poor. It was just a poor day at the office for Arsenal. And again, the mentality is there that when the opportunity is there to go for the kill, Arteta wouldn't do that. Show a bit more fight, show a bit more adventure, go for the win. You had the players to do it. Your fan base have basically been waxing lyrical about your squad depth and about how amazing your squad depth is. Display it. But then again, when most of your budget goes on defenders and defensive midfielders, I guess he is kind of showing it in a way. They need to remember there's a league to be won, and they are the front runners. Yeah, absolutely, they are. Gay could be key to Manchester City becoming champions. City sorting out their defence right in time. It was their weak line due to injuries. I know Pep would hate to lose to Arteta. When do City play Arsenal? When do City play Arsenal? City versus Arsenal. April. 18th of April. Which, to my recollection... So the 18th of April. Let's have a look. So with 5 games of the season left, Man City will take on Arsenal at the Etihad. That game could be incredibly crucial. Could be incredibly crucial to the title race, depending on obviously where City are and depending where Arsenal are. That could be massive. And yes, I do agree with you. Gahey could be massive to City. He was desperately needed. He was also needed by a certain other club as well, but they didn't see it as a marketable opportunity to sign Gahey. But more fool them, eh? More fool them. Morons. I spoke to some Spurs fans who hope to lose to home to City. It brings back memories of, you remember Heung-min Son? You remember Son's one-on-one with Ederson, in which 9 times out of 10, you know he puts that into the back of the net. You know he puts that into the back of the net. And Son decided, no, I'm going to hit it straight to Ederson. It reminds me so much of that. It reminds me so much of that. If Son wasn't already like a cool icon, a hero, or whatever it is, Spurs, he definitely was for not putting that ball into the back of the net. The beautiful irony in that was delicious. But yeah, it brings back amazing memories of that. And I'm sure that a lot of Spurs fans will probably want to help City all that they can. Whether or not the players and the manager does, obviously with the manager facing tough times right now at Spurs, remains to be seen. But yeah, that could be massive. That could be massive. How shy was Aaron though? This just proves it. Absolute muppet. Here's the thing though, with these past couple of games and the comparison of Michael Carrick to Ruben Amorim. I know that obviously tactically there's a lot to be looked at and to adapt and change and stuff. And obviously we've seen differences between Carrick and Amorim, even in the early days of Carrick. Bruno Fernandes obviously playing more advanced is a massive, massive bonus to United. Always was, always will be. Like, everyone will say Fernandes has been great this season. Yeah, Fernandes has been great. But Fernandes has only been great when he's been told, ignore being a number 8 because you're not a number 8. Go and be Bruno Fernandes. Go and be that number 10, that creative influence that we all know you to be. Fernandes goes and does that. United, 9 times out of 10, go and score or go and find a point or go and get a win, whatever the case may be, right? Here's the problem that United now have got. They beat City. They beat Arsenal. Amazing, incredible results. Results that nobody was expecting. But that's the point. No one was expecting United to win either of those two games, but they did. United's problem, even under Amorim, was never the big games because they always turned up in the big games. As I mentioned earlier, first game of the season against Arsenal, they turned up, they played really well. They just couldn't finish their dinner. They just couldn't stick the ball into the back of the net. They were very unlucky not to lead with anything on that day. They go and play Liverpool. They beat Liverpool. They played really, really well on that day. Fair play to them. It pains me to say it being a Liverpool fan, but they deserved that win. Chelsea, they win. Who else did they play and beat? Who else am I going to mention? There was another team I was going to mention, but I can't remember who it was that I was going to mention. I've done Arsenal. I can't remember who it was. But either way, we know that they turn up in the big games. Why? Because they're Man United. There's a history there. There's a rivalry there. As I said earlier, it's about bragging rights. It's about pride. And those kind of things all go into one in these kinds of games to produce levels that a lot of these players weren't anticipating or expecting to play to. But then they go, you know what? We're going to turn up today. That's what happened under Amorim. Amorim would always turn up in the big games. There was absolutely no problem with that. Whether it was Chelsea, United, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, whoever. Amorim and United always turned up in those games. Just like in the past two games, Carrick and United have decided to turn up in those two games, play really, really well. They maybe caught them off guard a little bit because maybe the players were going into the game thinking, oh, this is just United under Michael Carrick. Who's Michael Carrick? A failure at Middlesbrough. Who cares? Like, this is going to be a walk in the park. Oh, actually, it isn't. They throw a curveball. They move Bruno more advanced. They tightened up defensively. They tightened up in the midfield. They changed the game. They threw a curveball. And now that they've got the two games out the way that they weren't expected to win, the problem is not the problem, but the real measuring stick of how far this United side have now come under Michael Carrick is going to be when they start facing the teams that are in and around them or below them. So against the likes of your Fulhams, your West Hams, your Leeds Uniteds, who else have they got? Your Bournemouths, your Brightons, whoever else. They're going to be the real tests because United can get up for those big games. The mentality is there for those big games. The mentality of we've got to win here. That's our pride at stake against our biggest, fiercest rivals. Fine. But what about the games that are in and around you, lower than you? Can you get up for those games as well? Or is the mentality still a problem at the club? That's what's going to be really telling. And that's obviously what is going to be the difference maker here. Because there was talk today that, as I said when he was appointed, Michael Carrick is being considered as a potential full-time manager, head coach at Manchester United. And I said it when it happened. I said, Man United can't fall down this trap of interim manager again. Not only that, but if they were going to be rejected by their other targets, Carrick's a nice fallback option, which is why they didn't go with Solskjaer, because they probably saw Solskjaer and went, we've been down this road before. And not only that, but I prefer Carrick to Solskjaer, which is why they probably went down the road of Michael Carrick and not Solskjaer, even though it was by popular opinion that it would be Solskjaer over Carrick to begin with. So there's a lot still there to be proven with United. I see changes already, but the real changes and the real measuring stick of how far this United side have come is going to be when they face the teams that are in and around them. From that point, that's when you start to see whether or not this United side are the same old, or whether they've changed. Because they've beaten City in the past. They've beaten Liverpool in the past. They've beaten Arsenal in the past. They've played well in all of those big games. But it's the games against your middle of the tables, your inconsistencies, your lower league tables, drawing to the likes of Burnley and Wolves. Those are the games that you need to get across the finish line in, for the most part. I'd love to be proven wrong about Slot and FSG. Same, I would. I don't see it happening, but I would love to. Big up Nems in the building. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Lovely to have you here, bro. Hope you're doing well on this Tuesday afternoon. It says, my guy, back to you, my bro. Is top 8 Champions League sealed, or does Liverpool need to draw at least? It would really depend on what the other games are saying. It would really depend on what the other games are saying. I need to look into it a little deeper. But I know that obviously Newcastle are playing PSG, so so we don't need to worry necessarily about those two teams, because obviously one will either beat the other or draw. And obviously if it's a draw, that means we go above them too. Tottenham, I've got Frankfurt. Frankfurt are out of it completely, so they're probably not going to take it seriously. So that's probably going to be a win for Tottenham. Chelsea have obviously got Napoli. That's going to be a massive game for both of them clubs. Barcelona will be taking on Copenhagen. You would imagine that's a win for Barcelona. Sporting against Bilbao. That could be an interesting one. Man City have got Galatasaray. Atletico are against Bodo Glimt. And Atalanta take on Union Saint Gilloy. And obviously, depending on if goal difference comes into it, Inter will take on Dortmund, who obviously need to win to have any hope of automatic qualification. And Juventus will take on Monaco. So a draw might be enough, but it would depend on other results, of course. I don't want to take that risk. So just get the job done. We're at home, Champions League night. I know our home form hasn't exactly been amazing this season, but surely we beat Karabakh, right? Surely? No? I'm not confident either. Sorry, I'm not. I don't go into any game confident anymore, which is a ridiculous, ridiculous statement to make for a side that are the Premier League defending champions and have spent 450 million in the summer. But that's the Arne Slot effect right there in full sight. Definitely a good coach. Yeah, he is. Yeah, like I say, I don't know if he's a good enough coach to maybe get them across the finish line. I hope he's not, but I think he actually will this season. But I don't know. Arteta is a good coach because Arsenal get better every year, so there is a clear improvement. I wouldn't say they get better every year. I'd say they're consistent every year. I'd say consistent every year, but I wouldn't say they get better every year, because getting better every year would imply they go from second to first. I don't know. I get what you mean, though. Sort of. Arteta is League 2 manager. That's a bit disingenuous, bro. Come on. That's a bit disingenuous. Could Villa do a Leicester? Would not be quite as big as Leicester, because Villa is a massive club, but still. It would still be a big underdog story when you consider the size and the performances and, the transfer windows of Arsenal, of Liverpool, of Manchester City, and everything else that goes along with those three clubs. It would still be an underdog story. Yes, you're right. It wouldn't be as big as Leicester, but it would still be an underdog victory nonetheless. And like I say, the narrative of Unai Emery getting one over on Arsenal, the club that decided to get rid of him and sack him, would be beautiful and poetic. But I just don't see it happening, I'm afraid. As much as I want it to happen, I just unfortunately don't see it happening. What if Emery got this backing with signings that Arteta has now? I think Arsenal would have become Premier winners sooner. I think there is possibly an argument for that. I think Unai Emery was the right manager at the wrong time. I think he was the right manager at the wrong time. I think when you look at what Emery was given in comparison to what Arteta's been given, the time, the patience, along with obviously the money, night and day. I know that obviously Emery's football wasn't exactly amazing, but Arteta's football has declined in the past few years. I liked Arsenal a few years ago. I liked watching Arsenal a few years ago. They were actually exciting to watch. They were electric. They were scintillating at times. They were good to watch a few years ago. And then, of course, they bottled that 8-point lead at the top of the table. And since then, it seems to be like PTSD for Arteta every single time. Because since then, yeah, Arsenal have played well in a few games here and there. But since then, Arteta's basically gone and feared that result in particular to then go, right, we need to be more controlling. We need to pack the midfield out. We need to be more defensively solid and all of that kind of stuff. Like, you were good when you were absolutely battering teams left, right, and centre with just amazing football. And now you're a team that, I don't want to say relies on set pieces and own goals, but they are a big part of your play this season. They're a big point of your play this season. I don't want it to sound disingenuous or like I'm taking anything away from Arsenal, because we still play some good stuff at times. But set pieces are a big part of your main game plan. You do play some good stuff at times. You do play some good football, but it's not as frequent as what it was a few years ago. It wasn't as adventurous. It wasn't as nice and as easy on the eye as it was a few years ago. That's the problem I have. I have with Arsenal right now. Yeah, he's not perfect. I think his management of Eze is questionable. However, what he's gone out of some of the squad is incredible. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I'm not 100% sure what is going on with Eze either. I was expecting Eze to have more of a contribution in the Arsenal starting 11. And I think he should, because I think he's better than Odegaard through the middle, and he's the best left winger that they have as well, even though he's not technically a left winger. I prefer him through the middle than I would on the left, but I think he's better than Trossard, and I think he's better than Martinelli, and I also think he's better than Odegaard, whether it be on the left or in the centre. But for whatever reason, Arteta just does not quite trust him enough to start him. Read into that again what you will. City with one win out of the last 5 don't look like a team that is chasing top spot. That worries me. No one is challenging Arsenal. Yeah, and that's why Arsenal might get away with it this year. That's why Arsenal might get away with it, because I don't think anybody is going to be able to properly capitalise on Arsenal slipping up. And the amount of times that Arsenal can slip up is probably going to be fewer than the amount of times that second and third, who are both on joint amount of points, are going to slip up. So that's why I think Arsenal might get away with it. And again, it's something to maybe look at Arsenal and go, so you're telling me you spent over $1 billion, you've had 6 years under Arteta, you have 1 FA Cup to show for it, and yet the only time you win a Premier League title is when the circumstances and the competition has completely decided to be inconsistent. And I feel like I have credence and credibility to say it as a Liverpool fan, because I had to watch my team get post 92, 96, 97 points or whatever it was in 3 seasons just to come second to a prime Pep Guardiola Manchester City side. Do you understand how frustrating and annoying that is? Arsenal fans sit there and go, we are so unlucky. We got 81 points or 82 points or whatever it was and came second. You're not meant to get 96, 97 points and finish second. Those are the kind of points tallies that get you top spot. But we couldn't get that because we were against a prime Manchester City with prime Pep Guardiola. That's the frustrating thing. So when Arsenal fans sit there and go, we're so unlucky, why doesn't anyone feel sorry for us? Because Liverpool fans have been there, but we've done it better. We've done it better and have still got nothing in return. That's why. That's why it's so frustrating. That's why I feel like Liverpool fans are the only fans to give Arsenal fans that kind of treatment when they moan about that kind of stuff. Like, it's so annoying. This Arsenal team would not stand a chance against the prime Klopp, prime Guardiola. They just, I don't think they would. I just don't think they would. Thoughts on Heitinger ending up at Spurs? It's going to be, it'll be an interesting addition for Spurs. It'll be an interesting addition. But at the same time, in saying that, I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the manager. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the manager at Spurs going forward. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. But yeah, good luck to Heitinger. Good luck to him. I hope that whatever he's found, he does well. I hope that obviously he's recovered from his time at Ajax. Good luck to the guy. Good luck to him. Nice kit, thanks. It's a South African team. Again, another mystery shirt that I picked out. But yeah, it's a South African team. It is Cape Coast Abuser Dwarves. Yeah, cool. Was there a family drama surrounding Konate? I saw a headline today. Yeah, I think his father's passed away. I think that's why he's been missing the past couple of games. And I don't think he's going to be there for the Carabao game on Wednesday. So we're going into that game with one fit centre-back, guys. We're going into the Carabao game, an important game with only one fit centre-back who is not playing very well right now, who is not in the best of form. If you don't smile, you'll cry. If you don't smile, you'll cry. So Klopp's basically got Slott's basically got two choices. He will either play Robertson at centre back, which I think is probably going to be his go-to choice. I think he'll move Van Dijk over to the right-hand side, and I think he'll go Robertson on the left side of centre back. And then or he will go Endo again. I think he's probably going to go Robertson rather than Endo. So, yeah, we've got that to look forward to tomorrow. Was Robbo to Spurs really on? Still hard to believe. Well, apparently it's not completely dead. It's not completely dead, apparently, but it is looking unlikely now. But yeah, by all intents and purposes, everybody was reporting on it. So it did seem like Spurs were really interested. But they just Liverpool decided to pull the plug on it for one reason or another. And they were right to pull the plug on it as well, given our injury record right now. Given our injuries to our defenders, they were right to do exactly that. Carrick actually had a first stint as manager as a caretaker too in 2021, where he beat some best clubs in few teams, and overall he is still unbeaten. Yes, good point. It's a good point. I forget he had that kind of stint there. But yeah, even so, you've got to be very careful with the interim caretaker role, because you can easily fall in love with a manager like that, and then later on down the line, it doesn't exactly pan out the way you expected. United have been down that route before. A certain Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So United have been burnt by that before. Whether they learned from that mistake or not remains to be seen. But yeah, it's a bit like falling in love with a lone player. You just never do it because they always end up breaking your heart. And that's what happens with interim managers. Karabag are not farmers. They have 3 wins in the Champions League. If Liverpool don't win, I will be slot out. I mean, I'm slot out anyway. So, yeah. I mean, look, Karabag are no pushovers. And nobody's a pushover for Liverpool this season. Unless you're Eintracht Frankfurt. No, in all seriousness, I look at it like this: Karabag, they're going to go there with no fear. They're going to go there with basically looking at it like, let's just see what we can do. Where are they? They're 18th in the table, and they've got a good opportunity at qualifying. They've got a good at least qualifying for the for the knockout. For the knockout to the knockout stages, so the playoff places, basically. They're going to be probably in the playoff places. They need a lot to happen. In order for them to fall out of the qualifying stages, it seems. But I still think they're going to go there and they're going to try their luck. I really do think they're going to try their luck. They're going to try and, at the very least, get a point, solidify themselves properly, or they're going to try and, unless they've worked out what they can do to get a good draw in the playoffs. Because I can't remember how the playoffs work. I think it's they group them in 4, don't they? They group them in 4. They split them into 2 games. And then obviously 8 of them go through. So yeah, unless they're going to play it smart and be like, well, if we lose, we could get a better draw or something. I don't know. Maybe they've worked it out, because that's what this Champions League league phase can do. Look at us last season. We topped the damn thing. Who did we get in the round of 16? PSG. Wow. Amazing. And then I look at Arsenal this year. Who have topped it. And I'm looking at them going, who are they probably going to get this year? And then there's probably going to be Olympiacos or something. And I'm like, that just seems really unfair. I don't know if they will. Obviously, there's still 1 game left, but I'm just throwing out there as a random example. They're probably not going to get anybody as difficult as what we got last season. But that's sometimes just the way the cookie crumbles, I'm afraid. 16 games kick off at the same time. Some Champions League tomorrow night. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very fun night of Champions League football. I can't wait for it to get started. It's a shame that obviously it's all on one night and it's all at the same time, but it might make it a bit more fun. So I'm interested. It's going to be a fun night, no doubt about it. Barca should make up top 8 with a win. Let's have a look. So they're just outside. If they win, they go, because obviously PSG and Newcastle are playing each other, and they're in 6th and 7th. So regardless of whichever way that result goes, assuming that Barcelona win, they will definitely go through. Barca will definitely go through with a win. Arsenal don't play Villa anymore this season, unless they get them in the FA Cup, of course. How clutch is Buendia, by the way? I would love to see him at Barca. Man scores daggers and screamers. Buendia is an interesting one. Like, if you made up a highlight reel of Buendia, you would see that he's absolutely incredible. But that's just a highlight reel. That's just a highlight reel. You see him overall and you think, maybe he's not that amazing. I don't know. He's a bit of a hit and miss player for me. Could Arsenal have some faith as Liverpool in the last year of the Champions League? Same faith as Liverpool having the Champions League last year, finishing first and then getting PSG and being eliminated. I doubt they would get anybody as difficult as PSG. Because it's Arsenal. Because it's Arsenal. Yeah. I don't know. They don't want to fire Frank yet. They want to see how Heitinger rubs off on Frank, I think. I think the Champions League is also, because Spurs have actually been decent in the Champions League this season, which is bizarre to me. So bizarre. But yeah, I think the Champions League form is something that's keeping him in the job as well. I heard that the Robbo deal is gone because Liverpool said, never mind, we need him. Maybe the injury to Joe Gomez probably did change things. That probably did change things a little bit. Big up Kinsman, by the way. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you here with us. In my opinion, Carrick should get the job. Why not? I think it will go to Glasner. But I could also see them falling down that interim route again. And I just don't think that's... As a Liverpool fan, I'd love that because I don't think it's right for United. I don't think in the long term it's right for United to go down that route. So I do want that in a way because I don't think it will work out. But at the same time, in saying that, I think they will go for Glasner in the summer. And I think Glasner would take it as well. Also, do you think that Arsenal bottling the title has begun? No, I need a lot more proof and a lot more evidence before I say it has, Drawing to Forest last week wasn't great, but let's face it, those results happen. Losing to Man United at home, again, those results don't really happen to Arsenal, at least not in recent memory, or even conceding 3 goals. So... yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you look at it and go, well, this could be the beginning of everything unraveling for Arsenal. And I hope that in some respects it is. But I need a lot more evidence. I need a lot more evidence to suggest that this is the unraveling. I mean, as I said earlier, from the reaction of the Arsenal fans, you would probably anticipate it could be. Because the reaction of certain Arsenal fans, you wouldn't believe that they were 4 points clear at the top of the table. The way that they were ranting and raving and smashing things up and getting angry and stuff, you wouldn't probably have anticipated that would be the case. But that is the reality of the situation. They are top of the table. They are 4 points clear of both Man City and Aston Villa, both of whom have proven to be inconsistent in recent weeks. Are they going to be able to capitalize on Arsenal if they continue to spiral? I don't know. I would like to think that City would, definitely. And I would love it if Aston Villa did for, like I said before, the narrative, the storyline, the underdogs winning, and obviously the fact that my team are nowhere near it. So it might as well go to someone that, you know, could embarrass all of us rather than just be embarrassed by Arsenal winning it or by, you know, who cares if City wins it? But yeah, it's It's an interesting question. Like I say, I don't think they will. I still think Arsenal will bounce back from this, but I hope they don't. I hope they don't. And like I say, it's the mentality of Arsenal fans that they're just showing fear. I mentioned it at the top of the video. To me, it's PTSD of bottling a title to City by 8 points clear with like, what was it, 5 games to go or something, or 6 or 7 or whatever. It's the PTSD of losing by a point to Man City the second year by finishing with 89 points and then finishing on 90. It's the PTSD of the season after fumbling it to Liverpool, who no one expected Liverpool to win the title because everyone was going, Arnie who? Klopp's left. You're going to falter. You're going to fail. You're going to be miserable all season. And it's taken a year. It's taken a year for that to actually happen. But that year should have been Arsenal's year because City had fallen off. Liverpool had finished third with no new signings, by the way, other than Federico Chiesa, who barely played anyway. So that was meant to be Arsenal's year. And now this year, an even bigger opportunity has presented itself because Liverpool have fallen off. City are inconsistent. Aston Villa are being considered a contender by some, not by all, but by some. Aston Villa are being considered a contender. So this is big opportunity for Arsenal. So if Arsenal are to drop any more points, expect more excuses, expect more raging, expect more anger from their fans, because that PTSD is in the back of their minds, and with every time that they stutter, that memory is triggered to grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that is fear. Fear. Because as Star Wars said, fear turns to anger, turns to hatred, turns to the dark side. And right now, I would say some Arsenal fans are at stage 1, and some Arsenal fans have been stuck in stage 2. And if they bottle the league this year, that is going to be hatred. So we are seeing Star Wars play out before our very eyes here, people. We are definitely seeing it. Like I say, I hope it does. I hope it does. Big up Ozan is in the building. Yes. Long time no see, bro. Long time no see. I hope you're doing well. Lovely to have you here with us. Like I say, long time no see. Well, it's a Lucky and Amaro Nalo centre-back partnership. Here we go, Fletch. Isn't Lucky injured? I swear Lucky, I read something yesterday that he's injured. Yeah, apparently he's suffered a significant injury. Our centre-back problems go from bad to worse. Yeah, so he's injured. And so our only fit defenders, centre-backs, are Virgil van Dijk, who is playing shockingly bad right now. And as you put it, Nalo, who so far in his Liverpool career is known for playing a total of 30 minutes and picking up 2 red cards. That's our centre-back options. A guy who's picked up 2 red cards in his career without really playing a game, and another centre-back who has completely lost the plot or just doesn't want to play for the manager anymore. One of the two. Looking forward to the centre-backs, Kate Scott and Cara Chaos with 16 games at the same time. Centre back. CBS, not centre backs. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me? Yeah, yeah. See, Carragher on that show is apart from the odd occasional cringy line or whatever he puts out there, Carragher on that show is so much better than the Carragher you get on Sky Sports. It's like night and day. It's like such a different Carragher. It's at least more tolerable on that one. And like I say, Kate Scott's amazing, and Thierry Henry, absolutely outstanding. Love listening to Thierry Henry. And Micah Richards obviously holds his own a lot. Micah Richards is actually one of the only pundits out there that's actually tolerable. Sometimes he can lean a bit more towards the biased City stuff, but for the most part, Richards is actually all right. He's actually not bad. Vinay, who was terrible at Arsenal, is now in charge of Spurs. Spurs fans should not accept that. Vinay out, is what Marco has to say here. I mean, if City are in a title race, then so are Villa. Some amount of points. Same amount of points. Yeah, that's true. Like I say, obviously you give City a little bit more credibility because obviously they've been there and done it, whereas Villa haven't. But I get what you're saying. You are 100% spot on there, my friend. Emery pushing Tielemans and having a go at him at the sidelines, and then in the interview saying he's my son. Yeah, it's yeah. It's like I say, you kind of want to see it from not all the time, but in small doses. You kind of want to see that kind of stuff from managers and players. You kind of want to see that passion and that drive to be better. Emery, I don't say blah blah blah. Dracula, kidding. He does look a bit like Dracula though. There was some news today saying that even Gomez was not there at training. Yeah, I was just searching that up when I was searching up whether Lucky was injured. Yeah, apparently Gomez's injury that he picked up at the weekend, not as serious, reportedly not serious as what was first feared, but still pretty significant, it seems. And Kanate, obviously, dealing with family, with personal and family matters. So he won't be there either. So obviously, we wish the very best to both of them in terms of in terms of what they're going through and what they're dealing with separately. But yeah, Kanate hopefully will be back. If not against Newcastle, then you would imagine for the following game week, which is against Man City. Great. Thrown into the deep end there. And then obviously, hopefully, Gomez will be back soon because Gomez had a really good game against Marseille. A really, really good game against Marseille. And I was hoping that would prove him to be for the better. And then, of course, he gets injured against Bournemouth. Because the guy can't catch a break. The guy cannot simply catch a break. Every time he gets a chance, every time he gets a bit of luck go his way, it's like life goes, okay, we've given you that. Now we're just going to whip the rug right from underneath you. And every time it happens for Gomez. So annoying. I can see a scenario where City win the league comfortably with like 10 points. Arsenal still have a lot of tough away games. I don't think they do, actually. I know that they've got to go to the Etihad. I think they've got the North London derby as well. But apart from that, I don't think they've got many tough away games. Let's have a look here. Leeds United away. Should be a win for Arsenal, but Leeds have actually picked up some decent points in recent weeks. So that could be interesting, I guess. Then they obviously have the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, followed by a home game against Sunderland. Again, you'd fear more for that game if Sunderland were at home. If Sunderland were the home side in that one, you'd probably fear more that Arsenal could drop points in that one. But Yeah, that one should be Arsenal's win. Then they face Brentford away from home. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, that one. Brentford under the lights could be difficult, but again, it depends on what Brentford side turns up, because Brentford have been somewhat hit and miss this season, especially in recent weeks where their form has completely dropped as soon as I put 3 Brentford players in my team on fantasy football. Like I said, then afterwards they got the FA Cup against Wigan. Then they have the North London derby, like I say, away from home. They face Chelsea at the Emirates the week after. Yes. Brighton away from home could be tricky, but you never know with Brighton. Again, very hit and miss. Everton at home, again, could be awkward, but you would expect Arsenal to win. Wolves away from home for Arsenal follows. Again, it should be a win for Arsenal. Wolves could be down by that point, depending on how their season's going. Then Bournemouth at home, followed by a trip to the Etihad, as we mentioned before. Newcastle then at home, Fulham at home, West Ham away from home, and then they finish the season at home against Burnley. And then on the final day of the season, they go away to Crystal Palace. So there's not that, I wouldn't say there's many tough away games for Arsenal. There could be a couple of tricky ones. In there. But I think for the most part, it is relatively straightforward for Arsenal, with the exception of obviously Man City. Tottenham in the North London derby. Look, as much as it's a derby, form goes out the window, all of them kind of cliches, you still would expect Arsenal to win. But if Spurs can maybe, throw caution to the wind a little bit, rise to the occasion, play out of their skin, and, realize they could stop Arsenal from winning this Premier League title, then who knows? But we shall see. Guys, make sure you're hitting the like button on the video. Make sure you're subscribing if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Appreciate you all for being here. We're going to go for a little bit while longer. But yeah, really do appreciate you all being here, and thank you for the love and support to the channel, and obviously get involved in the chat. Mika actually is not all about the vibes. His analysis on games really well, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I used to think when he first arrived at Sky Sport, I just used to think he was like a human laughing track. I really did feel like he was a human laughing track, but he brings a bit of personality to it. In a studio that basically has Jamie Carragher boring everyone, Gary Neville repeating the same stuff over and over again, and obviously, waxing lyrical about Man United right now, even if they aren't playing very well, or, regardless. Roy Keane, who's just miserable. Mika Richards actually does bring a lot of personality to the panel, and like you say, his analysis on games actually isn't that bad. It's not actually that bad. I feel like he's one of the better pundits out there for analyzing games. So yeah, I do. I don't agree with everything that he says, but at the same time, there's nobody that I 100% agree with. But the way that he analyzes games is what I will always critique a pundit on, because if you're just putting out random stuff out there and just hoping it sticks, so I'm obviously not going to like you as much as obviously if you put stuff out there, you back it up, but at least there's some substance to what you're saying. So we shall see. With tough away games, I mean any away game, actually. They can be tough at that stage of the season, but Arsenal have been solid. We will see. Yeah, it depends on what clubs are fighting for, I guess, or if they are fighting for anything. I mean, for example, the Palace game at the end of the season, Palace could be mid-table again. They could be 12th again, 12th again in the table, or maybe even lower with the way that they've been going. Arsenal versus Burnley. Burnley could be relegated by the penultimate game of the season. West Ham could also be relegated or fighting for points. You never know. Fulham will probably be about mid-table, so they're probably not fighting for anything. Newcastle could be fighting for Champions League spots, so that could be an interesting game, I guess. Man City, as we know, title rivals. Bournemouth, mid-table. You're probably not expected to see Bournemouth be relegated, so they're probably going to be safe regardless. Wolves could be relegated by the time that they face Arsenal. Everton, middle of the table. Brighton, middle of the table. Chelsea battling it out for Champions League places. Tottenham, some form of European football, you would imagine, but obviously, it could just be a middle of the table, middle of the road kind of finish for them. Brentford, middle of the table. Sunderland, European football, depending on the start of their season, but obviously the past few weeks has been a bit dodgy for them. So you're right. There could be a lot to there could be a lot there to look at in terms of other factors with the teams that are going to be battling it out for certain places and things like that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see later on down the line. Like I get your point, but it's also one of them things where it's like, if you really, really want to if you really want to become the Premier League champions, you have to win those games. You have to win those games. It's simple as that, really. Simple as that. Big up Tony is in the building. Has he addressed the controversy around his involvement in the crypto scam? I don't know who you mean. Who has been involved in the crypto scam? I am unaware of this, I think. I'm not sure who or what you mean, my friend. Chelsea, Everton, Bournemouth could do damage at the Emirates too. Yeah, they very much could. They very much could. Like I say, Chelsea are going to be battling for Champions League, so they'll have something to fight for. Everton and Bournemouth, maybe not so much, but we know that those teams have proven to be thorns in the side of Arsenal in the past. So it could be a possibility, but it could also be a case that Arsenal are playing them at the right time, which could be difficult. Just going through City's fixture list here. Obviously, this upcoming weekend they take on Tottenham away from home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, a stadium that has not exactly been too kind to Man City previously, but of course things could change. Then they take on Newcastle in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. They take a 2-0 lead back to the Etihad with them. That should be done and dusted as far as what they're concerned, but never say never. Then, of course, they take on Liverpool on the 8th of February. Big game for both of those sides there. On the 11th of February, they take on Fulham. Again, should be a win. Then they get Salford City because, of course, Man City get an easy draw in the FA Cup because, again, why wouldn't they? Then they face Newcastle in the Premier League at the Etihad. So massive game there for both of those sides. Then they take on Leeds United at Ellen Road at the end of February. Beginning of March, they take on Forest at the Etihad. Then they go away from home to face West Ham. At home to Crystal Palace, away from home to face Chelsea. Then they have Arsenal in back-to-back games, obviously this time at the Etihad. Away to Burnley, away to Everton, at home to Brentford, away to Bournemouth, and then they end the season with a massive game against Aston Villa. And speaking purely from experience of seeing Man City against Aston Villa away on the last day of the season. Yeah, could be a lucky omen. Could be a lucky omen for Man City. No, look. I think City have got the harder running. I think City have got the harder running than Arsenal, especially when you look at home and away. When you look at the fixtures that they've got coming up, look, the Tottenham game, as much as it's Tottenham, for one reason or another, Tottenham seem to be a bit of a bogey side for Man City. If they can get past that game, that is a big mental boost for City. Then I look at Liverpool versus Man City. City's record at Anfield hasn't been great. In fact, I don't actually think City have won there since 2003, I believe, in the Premier League. 2013. I might have read that wrong. 2013, 2000. I don't remember. But either way, like, they have not played, or sorry, they have not won at Anfield, or they don't have a good record at Anfield, should I say. They do not have a good record at Anfield. Even if Liverpool are playing poorly right now, even if Liverpool are shockingly bad, like, they don't have a good record at Anfield regardless. That could be another mental block if they pass it. Then they got Fulham at home. We saw what happened last time Fulham took on Man City. It was an incredible 9-goal thriller. Fulham almost came away with something despite being 5-1 down at one point. Then away to Leeds United. Leeds United are going to be battling relegation. Daniel Farke and Leeds have had an incredible past couple of months or so in picking up a lot of points that I don't think a lot of people probably had them to pick up with. But they've done that. They could get something at Ellen Road, especially if they make it as hostile and as awkward as possible. Then they take on Nottingham Forest. Again, another side that are going to be battling relegation down at the bottom of the table. West Ham could be down by that point, but again, also could be potentially battling relegation, and that would be massive for them if they manage to get something in that fixture. Then they take on Crystal Palace. Palace at that point, who knows what's going down with Palace? Who knows if their manager's still going to be there? Who knows if they're still going to be playing Europa Conference League football? Who knows as far as what Crystal Palace are concerned? Then, of course, back-to-back games. First up, Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Massive game for both clubs. They're both going to be battling for something, you would imagine. Chelsea under Liam Rossini. It's going to be interesting to see how they're doing, what they are doing, and obviously how far they've come under their new manager. Then they take on Arsenal at the Etihad. Massive mental block for Arteta to get past. Again, he's got to show ambition. He's got to show adventure, depending on obviously how the league stands at that point. If obviously it's tight, if they are like joint level on points, or if or especially if Man City are ahead of Arsenal come kickoff on that day, Arsenal will need to show adventure and ambition. If Arsenal are ahead of City, then of course a draw would be acceptable. Arsenal need to play that smart. City, again, depends on where they are in the table, but you would imagine being at home, need to take the impetus and win that game. Then they face Burnley. That should be an absolute whitewash. Should be a whitewash for City. Then they take on Everton, again, away from home. It could always be tricky, but you never know with Everton, as they are very Jekyll and Hyde. Then they take on Brentford at home at the Etihad. Brentford, it could be another awkward game, but again, you just never know. And then, final 2 games of the season, Bournemouth might at that point be not playing for anything. It might just be going through the motions of the end of the season. But they might want to give their fans a little something to end the season on, especially with them being at the Vitality Stadium. And then, of course, Aston Villa at the end of the season. There could be a Europa League game. I don't know when the Europa League game would be if Villa obviously get to the final. I don't know whether it would be after that game or whether it would be before that game. I think they normally play the Europa League game now before the final game of the season. When was the United Villa game? I feel like that was at the end of the season. So again, Villa, if they get to the Europa League final, let's say the Europa League final is after that final game of the season. Villa will definitely have one eye on that. They won't want to like force things or change things. They probably will secure Champions League football, Villa, for next season regardless. So that could also be a factor to play into. But if the Premier League title race does go down to the wire, then that Villa game could be crucial, obviously dependent on how the league looks and how obviously Villa's season itself looks at the end of the campaign. But yeah, I think City have probably got the deeper, the bigger, the tougher away. The tougher fixtures. But again, don't rule out anything, especially not in this league right now. I still think Arsenal will win it, but I'm hoping they bottle it. Because it would be funny to me if they did. It would be funny to me if they did. And yes, that's basically what I wanted to kind of talk about in this stream. It was basically the reaction of certain Arsenal fans, just basically telling you to calm down, if anything. Like, it's not the end of the world. Premier League teams and Premier League champions sometimes go through these moments and these types of games where you're expected to win, but for whatever reason, you just have a bad day at the office and you don't. It's just one of them things, man. Like I say, you'll probably bounce back at the weekend. You'll probably bounce back at the weekend against Leeds. And City, City, as inconsistent as what they've been this year, you never know with City. This isn't the in form, in their prime Pep Guardiola Manchester City team that Liverpool had to face many years ago. So, take it for what it is. Take it for what it is, because it could be a hell of a lot worse. Enjoy the moment, enjoy the ride, and calm the hell down. Calm down, Arsenal fans. Jesus Christ. I know that there's PTSD. I know there's fear. I know there's anger. I know there's frustration. And I know all of that will lead to eventual hatred if you miss out on another Premier League title. But just for now, relax. It hasn't happened yet. Enjoy the ride. Chill out. Calm down. I wish Liverpool were in the position you're in right now. I really, really do. I really, really do. But hey, those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Let me know in the comment section what you guys have made of this live stream, what you guys have made of the talking points that have been raised in this live stream. As obviously Manchester United embarrass Arsenal. We've talked a lot about Arsenal. We talked a lot about the title race. And we talked a bit about Manchester United as well, and why the bigger tasks for Michael Carrick and United lie ahead, rather than these past couple of games against the likes of Man City and Arsenal. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Smash a like on the video if you have. Subscribe if you are new. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. I appreciate each and every single one of you for being here, showing some love and some support. And of course, getting involved in the chat as well. Big up to each and every single one of you for joining me on this Tuesday afternoon. I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what's coming up tomorrow. Might do a bit of Champions League previewing or whatever breaks. I don't know. We might talk some more stuff about, I don't even know. Anything, really. Anything. I'll be back tomorrow regardless. Whether it's going to be in video form or live stream form, I've not yet properly decided. We shall see what happens across the next 24 hours or so. Either way, I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks live stream. Thank you all so much for watching and listening, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.